The wife's secret. Richard West was a man the world admired and envied. A media mogul, a millionaire, and a living legend in Seattle. But those who had once seen him on magazine covers and television now only whispered about his name. For 3 years, Richard had lived like a shadow, locked away in his mansion, cold and detached. The reason was known to all. His beloved wife, Emma, had died tragically in a car accident. Since that day, Richard had changed completely. No business meetings, no social gatherings, no friends. The world no longer saw him, and he no longer wanted to see the world. His only connection to his old life was Emma's portrait on his desk, the one detail he never removed. The girl repeated calmly, "Your wife is alive." Anger and disbelief flashed across Richard's face. "Don't play games with me," he warned. But the girl didn't flinch. Instead, she pulled out a small notebook and placed it in his hand. Richard opened it and froze. Page after page contained sketches of a woman, the same face, the same eyes, the same smile. Emma, his wife. His hands trembled as the flowers fell to the ground. That night, back in his lonely study, Richard could not escape the words. He poured himself a drink, but the whiskey burned like fire. He stared at Emma's portrait and whispered, "Could it be true? Did I bury a lie?" Unable to fight the storm inside him, Richard called his private investigator David, the only man he still trusted. "Find her," Richard said in a low, trembling voice. "Find Emma." On a gray, windy afternoon, Richard walked through the cemetery with slow, heavy steps. He stopped at Emma's grave, placed a bouquet of white lilies, and stared silently at the stone. His eyes, once sharp and commanding, were now empty. Just then, a small voice broke the silence. "Your wife is alive!" Richard turned sharply. A young homeless girl stood beside him. Her hair was messy, her clothes worn out, but her eyes carried a strange certainty. But in the distance, watching quietly, the homeless girl stood once again. A faint smile curved across her lips, but her expression carried something unsettling, something beyond her years. She whispered softly into the cold wind as though speaking to someone unseen. "It has begun." And then, at last, he found her. Emma stood in a quiet safe house, her face pale, her eyes tired, but alive. When she saw him, she gasped, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Richard's voice broke the silence, heavy with pain. "Why, Emma? Why did you let me mourn you for 3 years?" Tears filled her eyes. She stepped closer, trembling. "Richard, I had no choice. They threatened us. If I didn't disappear, you would have been killed. I had to protect you." Richard's anger melted as he pulled her into his arms. "You should have trusted me," he whispered, his voice cracking. "We could have faced it together." Emma held him tightly. "We still can." For the first time in years, Richard felt life return to him. The hollow man inside him cracked open and hope flickered again. His wife was alive. His world had meaning once more. Richard frowned. "What did you say?" Days later, David returned with files, photographs, and documents. Hidden among them was one image that nearly stopped Richard's heart. Emma, alive, stepping into a car just last week. Richard's world collapsed and rebuilt itself in a single moment. His grief, his emptiness, his isolation, all of it was shaken to its core. Without hesitation, he followed the trail. And just like that, Richard realized that Emma's return was not the end of his suffering. It was the beginning of something much greater, something hidden in the shadows, waiting for him.